15th, 2019 Finance Committee meeting to order. Two items on the agenda. The first one is the Pollution Control Department. Superintendent David Smith is looking for a recommendation of the full council to purchase a budgeted pickup truck for Pollution Control Department. And I believe we approved, was it two of them at one point?
Yes. Last budget year, I asked for two trucks. One of them we was going to supply with grant money, a utility truck. We're not going to have enough grant money to do that. So I asked for a 1/2 ton and a 1 ton, and I'd like to combine that to a 3/4 ton with a plow and not get the 1 ton.
Right.
Yep.
So we're basically saving money. Okay, and I wrote it down. It looks like I know it was part of the email, but I didn't read the whole thing. So there was, how many bids? 5 bids?
There's 5 bids. The lowest bid is at least four months before we get it. So I scratched that off. The lowest bid and the second lowest bids, both from Quorks.
Okay.
And the second lowest bid actually has a electronic locking rear axle, which is better when you're plowing. So that's the one the Sewer Advisory Board recommended we get.
Okay, and that was from Quirk.
That was from Quirk Auto Group.
Quirk Auto, and it was for $33,812.
Yep, that's the one.
Any questions on this? Looks like we've gone from two trucks to one. Okay?
So moved.
Can I get a recommendation to move this to the full council?
So moved.
And Kyle. I'll say stand, and you seconded it.
Okay.
Yep.
Second it.
All in favor? No discussion. Good, thank you. Okay, we're moving on to the, thank you, David.
Thank you.
Budget discussions. The Finance Committee will discuss the upcoming 2019-2020 municipal budget. Okay.
So in taking a look at this, you should have budget notes. Kind of a Word document here as of May 15th, 2019. We can just get down through these. We can get the results of where this is. Wages, as we talked about before, is 3%. And for non-union employees, we've got 2+2 step as placeholder in contracts for fire and police at this time. Health and dental went up 8%. Our employer rates increased, and you can see those also in here underneath the union, non-union, under Main State Retirement. And we dropped down into reductions. We took out all new staff from the respective departments that we presented before. Our workers' comp expense went down about $20,000 this year. We took part of those savings, put it into our safety program, or have asked for that to go in there. Over last presentation, we added in $1,000 back into the clerk, into elections, so we could get an additional voting machine. We changed the $5,000 under a community events manager, added that back over into the assessor / manager's position. Economic development, the only change was in here, was basically the $49,000 that was added was from the Old Town Orono Fiber Project expense, but there's also a revenue that offsets that. And then we changed that by $50,000 due to the restructuring of economic development. So you'll see that number when you get down through there and look at that. Again, I just mentioned the assessors, that $5,000, the community events manager taken out of the council, moved over there to that department. And I took part of the money out of economic development and moved that over into part-time wages, so we could get through this commitment and try to get a little additional help in there to get through this time period. So I moved that over there into the assessor's office. We took a couple $1,000s out of uniform maintenance, and clothing out of the fire department. We do have a tipping fee reduction due to commercial tonnage from the change at Perk. Bus service went up from what we thought that they sent us about a month and a half ago. That increased $15,000 for the BAT bus service. It increased that way for all the communities. The percentage increase is about the same. There's $28,000 on tennis courts resurfacing and cleaning. If you go up and look at it, we own the tennis courts at the high school. If you go up and look at the tennis courts right now, there's been some pretty bad cracking in those courts. The schools have gone in and agreed to split this cost with us 50-50. So my recommendation to this $28,000 shouldn't impact our budget. If we want to take some of that out of our facilities maintenance reserve account, we could fund our $14,000 out of that, and the school fund the other $14,000. Capital heavy equipment from the last meeting, and I gave you a list of that. We took out $657,000 out of there. Removed $161,000 out of IT. We did request for security cameras back into City Hall, that $20,000. Again, I would suggest if you want to do that, that we take that out of IT reserve to fund that. I think it'd be wise to, our cameras need to be operating here. They're currently not, and that would get us several additional cameras outside. When you look at capital projects, we have the paving list that was given out the last meeting. We've looked at taking that back out and bonding that, and this essentially would be the bonding value of that versus that 571. TIF transfer, that decreased $51,000 over last year. Old Town Canoes, TIF has stopped now, and the actual amount of money that the RSU had given us originally has decreased $45,000, and that number is actually going out tonight to their meeting to be voted on by the school board.
Can I just jump back to the TIF real quick?
Yep.
So that Old Town Canoe, what's the total of that we're gonna, was that, it's 51,000?
That's all of our TIFs together. So in other words, our TIFs last year were 316,000. So that's gone down $51,000.
Just from Old Town Canoe, right?
Well, that's the difference between Old Town Canoe and Trade Winds. So we
Right, that's in that number.
Right, we're going to take out Trade Winds of Old Town Canoe of 70,000 and add in Trade Winds of 11,500.
I thought Old Town Canoe was like $200,000.
No.
It's only
No.
70,000.
Under revenue, under economic development, and you can see reading down through here, we have about $40,000 left in facade grant money in that account, and that's going to be offset. Both of those
Can I
are.
ask a question, please?
Yep.
What is Old Town R&O Fiber? Oh, fiber optics?
Yeah.
Just need another word, thanks.
Yeah. Those are dollars that are already in there. That's basically, you'll see an expense for facade grant under economic development, but we've got $40,000 left in the grant money to offset those. Those dollars are both offset. Airport hangar reserve money, that's available. Economic development and paving. Again, we'll go down through this in a spreadsheet so we can explain this a little bit better, but there's an opportunity to offset some of this with TIF transfer money here. These things all go back through and back into some of these cuts that we've talked about earlier here. And again, I'm kind of repeating myself here, so I've talked through some of this already on the facility infrastructure reserve for the city hall cameras and tennis courts. When you look at that, where would we be at this point? The only thing that's not on here is police and fire negotiations, which are ongoing.
Looking at the last page now,
Yep, with the estimated mill rate calculation that's on here.
very last one.
And we can certainly get into as much detail as you want as we get down through this, but this kind of, to get to the 3% that we talked about, you can see now where our gross budget number is, where the school's number is, county, the TIF number, that appropriation adjustment, that would be taking $200,000 out of fund balance. This 265.3, and again, we'll go back in, I can look at and go down through heavy equipment to show you how, if we were going to go through and fund that, how that breakdown would be. But to get to your 3% down here, when you add up that appropriation adjustment with your revenues, homestead reimbursement, this gets you to your 3%. I believe we're going to pick up probably another $3 million or so on our valuation, which is another $60,000, and I believe we're going to get more money in municipal revenue sharing, but I just don't know what that number is going to be.
Right.
I don't know when we're going to find that out.
Usually not till June, late June.
I'm guessing it won't be until late June. Correct.
So the 200,000 out of fund balance, that's just something we've always done.
Right.
Typically anyways, heavy, so 265, 300. So before all that, so we're somewhere almost at 7% then without using that money, basically.
Yeah.
6 point something. Yeah. Any questions so far on anything that you've heard? Like Bill said, we can go right into detail if you want to, as far as, he's just kind of giving you the overview right now, but if you want to know what that 265, he can tell you what that is,
And again, the documents you have tonight, there won't be any changes that happen going forward. Will either be municipal revenue sharing going up, or if you folks decide you want to take something out of here or add something out of here. These numbers are pretty solid at this point. So that's really, what it comes down to, if you want to add or take anything away.
And
like I said, we'll probably get about 60,000 more from that, and then municipal revenue. Okay. What's everybody's thoughts? What are we thinking? I mean, this is that's what we asked them to do to get us to the 3, and, we can take all this stuff home and take it all in, and we can, like, as always, just meet again in a week or two, and if you got more questions, and basically to do any more, like Bill's saying, you're gonna have to go back and reduce budget.
Yeah, I mean, again, you'll find in your handout, you can see your reserve balances that are in here.
Right.
This is a tentative list. This is, since we've made the cuts, you can see what's on this list for heavy equipment, everything that's in here.
So this is the 265?
Correct.
Okay, so that's what this is, okay. Okay, second page is items that were removed from the budget.
Yep, your first page is what the request is at this point.
the front and back of the first page.
Yep.
Right, yep.
Front and back.
The fire thing, we did the thing that broke off, right? How'd we end up with that ventilation thing?
We're still waiting.
To find out if we gotta pay or not.
Well, we're trying to just get two companies here to actually look at it.
Oh,
Right. The insurance will only pay for the piece of the rail that was broken. So the block that failed and caused the accident, that's the only piece that they'll pay for. Because there was nothing else that, caused the door to jam and, break off the ambulance.
okay, so anything extra we do, we have to pay for?
Yes.
David, do we have to find that and take that out more?
Which one are we talking? Okay, so you're talking the reduction needed.
Yeah,
You're looking at the 2018 to that mill
yeah,
rate at 287,361? That number?
yeah. You have to take that out?
No, that's basically what was showing is that's what the mill rate,
Yeah.
that's what the mill rate was. 2286, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, and so it's just showing if we go 3% all the way up, if we went 9%, just shows what the dollars amount.
Correct.
uh,
But have we got to find that much more?
No. We're at our three, if we use,
We are,
if we,
okay,
if
'cause
we
it
use
says-
these, if we use the fund balance of 200,000 and we use the heavy
Yeah.
equipment money, we're at our 3% right now.
Okay.
And there's a possibility of
Well, see, it
getting
says-
additional money.
It says reduction needed, that's why
Right, yeah.
it was confusing.
Yeah, no, we're at the 3% if we decide to stick with what the sheet says, but
Okay.
there is a possibility that we are gonna get some more monies coming in. Not a lot, but there'll be some coming
Yeah,
in.
right.
Any questions from anybody, or you just want to take this home and read it, and we can meet back again in a couple weeks, or what do you guys think you want to do?
Yeah, it's a lot of information.
They do that on purpose, I
Yeah,
think,
I
to
know.
Cal. At least.
One of my questions, I guess, maybe rather than, I don't want to sit up here and nitpick individual budgets or anything like that. I just have some questions as to, just quickly going through, I'm trying to think of a rational way to do this without creating too much work for anybody, but
Yep.
in quite a few of the individual budgets, I see line item increases 18%, 125%.
Some of those we went down through, didn't we already?
144%, 100%,
Some was insurance or something?
133. I guess, I don't know what the easiest way to do this would be, but I guess I'd kind of like maybe anything that's a big increase, maybe some sort of explanation for why,
18%.
and I don't know what the right, maybe pick a number out of thin air or anything that's gone up 10% or more in any given budget. Could we
Well-
get a, even just a written explanation? Okay, this budget had this, and this went up. Here's why.
Well, like this one, I just pulled one out. It's city clerk. Training and materials, it's gone up 125%, but I believe that is because she's sending her deputy to training.
Right, we've already, all of the increases that have occurred in the budget, we've explained through these budget notes. So the sheet that we had last time explained all the increases, and then this is the change between them. So like the 8% of the dental insurance, that's the cost on the premium, but when you look at it per department, it's going to vary
Right.
on that. So
Right.
like the clerk department, it's going to go up 30%, but it's really just an 8% increase on the premium total.
So anything that shows an increase in any of these budgets are already covered in the
Yes.
budget notes?
Yes. Yep.
And that stuff you gave us already?
Yes, from the first time we went through all of that. And that's why we put the wage increases in the health and dental, because those are the ones that can go up so
Right,
much.
Right.
And one thing too with the insurance is, it's not a one-for-one each year, because as people come and go, get married, have babies, they're gonna change their coverage, which that percentage is gonna change just based on moving from single to family, or, single and spouse.
Like, there's another one, Public Works Administration, traffic control / other contractor services, up 112%. I'm assuming it's just because of other contracted services, maybe?
That one we increased for and that was in the note from last time. We increased that for the line striping.
There we go.
So
Yep.
that, was
That
what
way
that
we can get it
increased.
done sooner instead of waiting
Correct.
like we did last year and get all the complaints that we got.
Correct.
We actually didn't wait. Remember, the guy's son crashed in his truck,
That's
and so he was out for like a month. So it didn't
Still
get
had to wait.
done. We did have to
Listen,
wait, but there was a reason why.
Okay, whatever.
I don't think that was the reason that we had at the time, though.
No, we didn't find that out till,
That was a weather issue, I think that's what.
and then we
they were
did
telling
find
us,
out
yeah.
that. So my,
Well,
so I definitely see what you're saying, Kyle. Some of these are definitely, they're up there, and I thought we did hit a couple of them actually when we talked about it that night. I thought a few big ones we looked at.
Right, and I looked at dollar change as opposed to percent change, so anything that was like over $1,000 changing in a department, I made a note on it. So to look at the dollar value is where I focused on versus the percent, because again, 100% on one department can be not 100% on a different department. Changing one expense from 500 to 1,000 is a 100% increase, but it's one small item.
well, I guess I'm just, again, just looking through this really quickly, and maybe I'd be better off to make some notes and give it to you folks and ask questions, but going down through, like the fire department, for instance, I see
Where is that?
where there's other contractual services, a $10,000 increase. I don't remember hearing about that previously.
What page is that again, Kyle? 520, okay.
20.
What number is it?
2,000 account.
Yeah, what other contracts, so up to 200%?
Well, it's up $10,000. That was my question. I don't remember having a conversation about telephones. I see a couple big fire ambulance has a $4,300 increase in telephones. Fire has a $2,000 increase in telephones. Do we know what that means, or what that's?
I'm probably looking wrong. I'm seeing telephone, it was 5567, and they're asking for 6,000? No, it was,
No, this is on the
Right, it was in
ambulance.
the prior, so on the fire side, the actual expenditure is around $10,000. The budget was at 4,000, so we're trying to get the budget up to what the actual spending is. So this year, we asked for an increase of 2,000 to get it to 6. On the ambulance side, the same principle, their spending was 5,000, but they only have a budget of 1,000, so we're trying to, again, get the budget up to the actual expenditures.
which I remember last year as a finance committee, we talked about making the actuals, actually putting the actual numbers in there instead of just flying every year, that just leave your budgets the same and just
Right.
know. I remember when we had that discussion, and Shirley, myself, Carol, I believe Stan, we said, let's at least shoot for trying to get actuals.
Right.
We know that at the end of the day, the budget's all gonna balance, but at least show the real number instead of just saying $1,000. If we're spending $4,000 every year, whether it's gear or telephones, whatever, put the actuals in there.
Well, and I'm fine with that, and I think you do need to have it match
Right.
what your expenditures are. But when I was looking over the spreadsheet that I had asked you for, over a 4-year period, from fiscal year 13-14, and I went through 17-18, we had 9 departments that were consistently spending more than what they were budgeted. I don't have a problem going with actuals.
Actuals, right.
But I would expect those departments to stay within their budget. The rest of the world does.
That's right.
So,
Was it the whole budget or certain lines, Shirley?
no, this was the entire budget.
Entire budget.
The entire budget. I mean, and I went through, the percentages that had increased from 13-14.
Right.
Where am I? Police has gone up 28%. They've gone over every year. That's what I have a problem with.
Yeah,
Yeah, oh, I do too.
I agree.
Yeah, no, I mean, if they got a budget, they need to stick to it. I know there's emergencies or things come up, but it shouldn't be
That's
every
not-
year.
That's not, I mean, again, we can be fair.
Right.
And let's go with what's here.
Right.
But stay within your budget.
Right.
Yeah.
If there's emergency, they come to the council and ask for permission to spend, basically. I agree.
Well,
What you're saying, yeah.
they're spending.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Shirley. I mean, I've been involved in several private organizations that we have a budget. We have either trustees or directors or whatever, and when we get to a point where we've got a line item in the budget that we have $10,000 for, and we're at 10,000, we need to spend more money that goes with that, we have to go back to the entire board and say, you know, we've run into a problem, we need more money for this particular line.
Right.
Sure, which is what we do. I mean, I certainly don't want to go back and recreate every council appropriation from 14 till today.
No, you've always come back as a staff and asked us to spend more
I'm just
money.
saying, stay within your budget.
Well, if we grant them permission to go beyond their budget, and I'm sitting here trying to think, but, for example, the defibrillators that we voted to put in the hall, when we vote to do something like that, that's
Right.
on top of their budget.
But those defibrillators didn't actually
I'm just
come out
using
of
that as
a
an example,
department,
but
right?
the fire department needed some equipment
Right.
Right.
over this span, and we voted to give them those equipment. And once you vote to give them those equipment, it may put them over the top of the budget. I mean, before I condemned it, I'd want to look and see why they went over their budget.
I'm just saying, we've got this many departments that have been consistently over in the past 4 years.
Yeah.
Well, and one thing that spreadsheet doesn't show, though, is sometimes the overspending had to do with a grant. So, you know, we have revenues to offset that. So that's a piece of it. You know, that, like a lot of the overtime in most of the departments, they use the overtime, but it's offset by a federal grant or a state grant that comes in. So that, you know, you gotta be careful with that, too. You'd have to go back and look at the grants that are involved.
I don't have a problem with any of this. I'm just saying,
Right.
here's your number, stay
Right.
within it.
Right. And to me, you know, if you have the budget, there might be one line that, if it's training, and you got to go over on that, but your telephone is below that, that offsets that anyways. At the end of the
Right.
day, it all matches up. It just, one line might be bigger, but the other lines will cover that.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's okay. You know, you know that it's all set, but
How many
I know what my budget is.
part-time positions did we add?
None. Really?
In this budget?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the one for assessing. There was no other new positions. And then with the economic development assistant manager position, we had to do something, so that's
Well,
all we added.
I'm looking at part-time salaries up $8,600. Part-time salaries up $9,100.
is that because of the wage increase?
Well, I think you're looking at, if you're looking at the city clerk and the finance, that was, we had talked about what those increases were within the department, and then the allocation between the two city clerk and finance departments.
And of course, if there's wages increase, I'm
Yeah.
assuming that's going to go up, you know, the minimum
Right,
wage.
the other part-time salaries have gone up, so like the library, you know, the minimum wage went from $10 to $11.
Right.
So, you know, that's a 20% increase on them, so they
Now
have,
it's going to go 11, 12,
right, 11 to 12
January.
next year, correct,
you know, which is part of this budget.
correct.
Yeah,
So, let me just look real quick, yeah.
it's all right. It's all good questions. That's why we're here.
Yeah, and the park and maintenance budget, that one went up as well, but again, I think we had last year 4 lawnmowers. This year, we still have the same 4, but we have 2 returning, so we gave them an increase for coming back. But it's still it's under
Oh, the workers.
$12, right? I mean, it's still not significant dollars.
What was the police department? That's showing part-time salaries doubled there. Do you know what that was? They went from 69 to 15.
We have a part-time janitor, and we have a part-time maintenance gentleman that's been helping out. So that's a limited period that he's going to be helping out for us. Painting, cleaning, doing different things that the department has needed. It would either be in part-time salary or contract labor.
Okay.
Because the janitor will still be, it's the same person.
Yeah.
It'd just be probably an increase because, once again, of the
Yeah.
cost, the minimum wage.
Well, yeah, but that's double, it's more than
Yeah,
double
that's
what's in
what- yeah.
now, so.
Right.
It's not just a wage
So
increase.
And it's because of what, I mean, I can understand the custodian.
We have a part-time maintenance gentleman that's in there. I left it in so that it wouldn't overspend.
And
But
Public
they-
Works and Park Maintenance?
Those are the lawnmowers that we,
With the lawnmowers?
yes, yep.
And then the library,
That's the minimum wage.
minimum wage increase. Let's see, we're gonna get them all answered right now. Why not?
They might as well.
Those are the first pass-through, those are the ones that jumped out at me, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking this over, if you have any questions, I mean, send them to us in an email, and any response that we give, we'll give to everybody, you know, when it goes back out.
Yeah.
So if you see something here that you have questions on, I mean, certainly send them here, and if you want to meet again, you know, next week, week after, whatever, just to go through it again, I mean, that's fine.
What was it you said hang on, maybe I can answer my own question. No, I can't. What did you say the increase was for the full-time salaries in the clerk's office?
It's the split between, when I originally proposed the budget,
Yeah.
I only had 20 hours, so 10 hours in each department, I had to put 40 hours. So each department receives 20 hours for the shared position, the deputy clerk and the finance.
So everyone is going from 37 and a half to 40 hours?
Correct, and that's another increase as well.
That's an increase.
Yes.
All right,
Yep.
so that's between the two departments?
Yes, yep, one person between the
Gotcha.
two.
All right. Okay.
So in reality, the other monies that Bill talked about, the revenue and then the municipal sharing, I mean, we're not going to know that till late June. We have to have our public hearings, 2 of them in June. So we got, was it 2 more weeks before? We have a meeting next week. And then what is it, was it just 2 more weeks from now that we have our regular meeting? So if you want to do one more finance, there's no new money, I mean, we're not going to get any money between now and then, between now and the first reading. There's no new money coming in, so if anything, if you want, just take this stuff home and we can ask it when we have the first reading in June. If you want, we go over the first reading of the budget, it'll be a public hearing. We open it up. If you guys got questions then, we can ask them and go from there, because there's really nothing,
No,
There's really-
nothing's going to really change.
there's nothing's going to change any.
I think I get most of my questions answered just by
Yeah.
sending an email to you guys and saying,
Yeah.
what does this mean?
If
Happy-
anything-
happy to
Anybody who
explain.
sends something out, we'll CC everybody, so
Everybody
you
gets it
guys can
back.
see the same.
If anything changes, it's going to be for the good about if we get this extra money coming in, so
Yeah, but that's just a Benny.
it is.
Then
Well, I
that's,
get-
that's where the citizens win.
Right.
I guess my big question is, you know, looking at this sheet here, is what are the chances that something comes in below what we're expecting as far as revenues that we're calculating into this? I mean, is there a chance that this is gonna go the other way, and we're gonna have, all of a sudden have a 5% increase instead of a 3%?
No.
So the 3% is conservative?
Right.
Yes.
The only thing that would change is if we get nothing from municipal revenue sharing and the union contracts. I mean, those are the two, big items now that we're waiting to get final numbers on.
And at some point, that'll be during one of the regular meetings, we'll have an executive session to explain where you're at with that. I'm assuming the
Correct.
contracts. I'll have to update the council what you're looking at.
Is there,
Probably gonna be the second one in June, the way the fire department's going.
But at some point, we gotta know what it is, so the council agrees to even
Right.
do it or don't do
Later
it.
than that.
Right.
Yeah, we're hoping that at the first meeting in June, we'll be able to present both.
That's when we decide whether,
Always try to be positive.
yeah, I mean, as far as the revenue sharing goes,
yeah.
Right.
my biggest concern is the way the state is spending money right now, that there's not gonna be revenue to share,
Right.
you know?
I mean, to me, looking at this right now, this is where we're at 3%. It's not gonna get any worse than that.
Good,
I-
that's good.
so-
Yeah, we won't get any less in municipal revenue sharing.
Right. All right, good.
We were at 2.5, and we said this last meeting, it wound up being less than 1.
Right.
Good.
When everything all came in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, thank you very much, guys. Good job. Appreciate it. Anything else from anybody?
I just think it's interesting that Jim Dill put the bill in and it passed, the closing of dumps.
Yes, he came into my store and saw me on Sunday, and
Yeah.
and I thanked him very much, and he
That's
sent an
gonna be a big
email to
help.
Bill. Yeah, and then at some point, we'll have to, That will come up about spending the money.
They had changed the ruling just after, was it just before? Anyway, they've gone back to the original, and they pay 75% of the closing cost,
Oh,
which is a great help to us.
it's basically, I think that, I believe it's $400,000.
It is. It's probably gone up now because that was last year's
Last
cost.
year's.
But
But they pay 75% of that, and then Bill also thinks that maybe we can do something up there too to sell some stuff off and
Right.
to get our cost even lower. So that's one of the reasons why when we got that perk money, we really haven't touched it, because we didn't know what it was gonna end up. So
Right.
this was a big thing for Senator Dill to get that for us, so.
It is.
Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn, please? No one wants to leave? Okay.
Can we stay for a little bit longer?
Sure.
All right, so moved.
Kyle, is there a second?
Second.
Carol. All those in favor? None opposed, and it's 4:36. Thank you, everyone.